For the last 30 days, I did a yoga challenge and it was honestly so difficult. Compared to the vegan challenge I did, which ended up causing me to go plant-based, the yoga challenge was something different. It forced me to look at my habits. And you guys know, neurodivergent, chronically ill, habit building is very difficult. The reason I chose to do a 30-day yoga challenge though was for my chronic health. I had a feeling it would actually help me. Removing dairy from my diet absolutely helped bring the fibromyalgia pain way down, but I still need elements of exercise to really help my body move through the pain. And I thought, well, I want to be flexible. I want to be balanced. Maybe yoga. Now, yoga isn't just a physical exercise. It's also a spiritual movement. Much like how veganism isn't just a diet, it's a philosophy. Same with yoga. So going into it, it was obvious I wasn't just going to feel physically well, I was going to also feel mentally well.
Inhale to chant, breathe in.
And you guys know meditation is great and yoga can be a sort of tool for that meditation. But there were challenges, and those challenges are what I find the most fascinating and what I want to talk to you about today because I think it can help you along your journey. So you guys know that over on my Patreon, which helps fund the content, thank you guys so much for that, we do a monthly professionally taught yoga class. And I asked the instructor, who should I follow on YouTube for sort of a 30-day challenge to kind of help me along my journey. And she recommended Yoga with Cassandra, who I chose to use her 30-day program. It is free. It's on YouTube.
Welcome, everyone. I am so excited to announce my brand new 30-day challenge called Flexible Body, Flexible Mind.
And I followed a playlist that basically focused on flexibility, which I am trying to become more flexible. I'm trying to get my splits going. I'm trying to just have a better relationship with my body. And so her program I did use and it was really, really good. I also intend to continue watching Cassandra's work and use it in my daily ritual. Let me start with what was so difficult about the process and then I'll get into all the benefits. So obviously, well, maybe not so obviously, the hardest thing for me was knowing when to practice. When was I gonna fit this 10-minute class into my day? Yes, 10-minute class. Cassandra has a playlist and they're only 10-minute long videos, and it was a struggle. If you're like me in relation to chronic illness, when I wake up, I have a limited amount of spoons. And then I decide throughout my day, okay, how am I going to utilize those spoons? In which way am I going to utilize my energy? Because once it's out, it's out. And so I noticed what I had done was I created a ritual in the morning that was pretty consistent. I've had the same ritual, same habit, same 2-hour morning for many, many years. I wake up, I sit in bed for 45 minutes to an hour. I get out of bed, I have my coffee, brush my teeth, shower, start my day. That's basically the first 2 hours of my day. I began to notice that once I'm done with my shower, boom, I'm off. I'm usually getting ready for work, dressing, doing my hair. My hair takes, forever. You got to diffuse, you got to dry, you got to do the whole thing. And by the time I'm done getting ready, I'm ready to start recording or showing up on stream or whatever I'm doing in relation to work. I don't want to pause and do yoga. And then on top of doing the yoga, I also had to set up the camera, make sure that I was recording it so I could get B-roll to show you guys. And it was just an extra step that I was confused on how to fit it into my day. I tried yoga at night. I tried yoga in the morning. I tried yoga before my shower, after my shower. I tried yoga in the middle of the day. I found it very frustrating trying to figure out where to take this 10-minute pause. And that's the issue. It was a pause. So I was going momentum, work. And then I would have to come to an abrupt stop to do this 10-minute meditation because the practice was calming, fabulous, wonderful, made me feel so good, but it also made me feel way too calm to ride the momentum back into my workflow. So if you're like me, and this is where I think the autism plays a role. So the reason I love working for myself is I can wake up in the morning and say, oh, I don't feel like recording today. I just want to edit for 10 hours. I pick and choose sort of how to make my day work for me. I play to my strength, and my strength is really my mood. What does my mood want to do today? Now, I do have a schedule I have to keep to. I do have to show up on Mondays for a podcast and Tuesday through Friday for a stream, and I show up on Sundays for Discord. So I do have places to be, but I always end up wanting to be there because it's in the schedule. So my brain kind of is rewarded by having a schedule because then I really want to be there. So I think what was difficult for me is I wanted to do yoga, but wanting to do yoga ruined the thing that I was supposed to do, which I wanted to do. I always want to do work. But I think what was interesting is like yoga started to feel bad because it would impact the other stuff I wanted to do. Like, I love my job. The reason I feel so lucky that it is my job is that it's what I want to do when I'm not working. It got confusing when I wanted to do yoga, but my brain couldn't figure out where to put it in my day without ruining the other things I had planned. And yoga wasn't supposed to ruin anything. It was supposed to add. Now, like I said, after each session, I felt great, wonderful, vibing. And so you would think, okay, well, do it at night. Well, by the time I'm done working, a 10-hour shift has gone by. I'm out of spoons. I'm out of spoons to challenge my body. I'm out of spoons for thinking. I'm out of spoons for practicing balance. I'm out of spoons for even being in the present. I'm kind of like, my brain is kind of just on autopilot in a sense. So then I would try to do it after work, and I would sort of even want to almost like forget and then last minute be like, oh my God, I didn't do yoga. Oh my gosh, I got to set up the camera. I got to do yoga. And then I realized, oh, I have to set up the camera, and that got a little exhausting. Even though it wasn't a fancy setup, it was just like, it was like one extra step. Now, neurotypical, non-chronically ill person, this might feel like, so what's the big deal? But for an autistic, fibromyalgia girly, it felt exhausting just setting up to do yoga. So then what I did was, and this is what I did, I stopped filming myself, and it got way better. I think the reason I got better is because I eliminated 2 steps in the process to getting ready for yoga. So I stopped needing to get my phone ready to record, and I stopped needing to get the iPad ready to watch Cassandra do her lesson. Setting up and making sure it was right, and the lighting made sense, and you guys could see my body, and the B-roll would look good. Like all of those extra thoughts that went into doing it really killed it for me. So then what I ended up realizing about myself is that I wanted to do yoga, but I didn't want it to be a group activity. Like I didn't want to do it with you. Not that I don't love you, and I'm so happy to make this podcast right now, but I realized like some things really are just for me. And I think that's the message that I want to send to you guys today is like sometimes it really is just for you. It's always great to record, it's always great to show family, it's always great to share. But some of the ways in which I wanted to daily practice were being interrupted by me connecting it to work. And I realized like I didn't do yoga for work. I was trying to do yoga for me. So here were the benefits that I got from doing the yoga. 1, felt so calm, so good, so floaty, so vibey. 2, flexibility absolutely improved. This 30 days absolutely made a difference in my relationship with my body. I'm continuing to do it. It's now going to become a part of my at least every other day routine. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to talk to my body. I'm going to focus on having a relationship with my body, which is actually point 3. I had a very unique relationship with my body this time around where it stopped being about being grounded in my body and started to become almost like I was leaving my body and taking care of this thing that carries my consciousness. It would start to feel as I was practicing like I was caring for this thing that was like so important because this thing really allows this thing to keep going. And so it was like a really beautiful shift where I was like, oh, my body is me, but it's so not me. And I've been saying that for years. But I think doing the 30 days of yoga put it into physical practice in a way that meditation can and cannot do. So when you meditate, at least when I meditate, I'm certainly not also, stretching. I'm not engaging my body in the same way. And so I think what yoga forced me to do was engage and talk to my body at the same time, which again made it so much more than just exercise. Though I think a lot of people who exercise, gym bros and stuff, I think they're also having a connection to their bodies, but it might be weighed down by the guilt or the feeling they have from the communities because I think we forget that gym bros and people in that bubble also suffer from pressure and aesthetic and fashion and body dysmorphia and all of the negatives. That the point of doing this 30-day yoga challenge was to remove my attachment to judgment. I want you to see how imperfect I am. I learned so much about my body during this process. I learned I'm a very twisted girly. So I have a theory that I have dyspraxia, but I don't know that because I haven't been diagnosed. But I have a theory that I have difficulty with rights and lefts because every time I've taken a class, I remember I was with a girlfriend of mine and I took a bar class. And I was the only person in the group that genuinely struggled to follow instructions without a visual representation. Like the instructor would be standing and walking around and going like, lift your left foot, lift this. And I just could not follow the instruction just audibly. I needed the visual representation. And so I understand that all of us learn differently and all of us process differently. And I think what this gave me was a reassurance that no matter how uniquely my brain works, there's a way to get around it. Like I noticed that when I was doing certain moves, my body would like twist. Like when I was doing 3-legged dog, which I'm very bad at, my body would like twist. And I realized like, why am I doing this? And I realized like, oh, I have like a misalignment in my body. I didn't realize how I'm not balanced, girls. Like I am so bad. I was falling over all of the time. And I realized like, oh, I have sort of a bad relationship with my body. Like everyone has a different relationship with their body. I'm good with how I look. I'm good with how I present. I'm good with but the one thing I don't practice enough is balance. And so then I feel shaky and then I feel insecure and then I feel like uncertain that I even have a good relationship with my body. And then I have to remind myself that it's practice. Like it takes practice to have a good relationship with your body. I remember learning to have a good relationship with my body when it came to body hair, and that I have cellulite, I have stretch marks, I have all of these things on my body that I was perfectly fine with in some ways, but in other ways needed to really learn to love, And same thing with balance and keeping balance with yoga. I didn't realize my breathing was so off. I didn't realize my balance was so off. I didn't realize that I would struggle to find 10 minutes of my day to do yoga. It was really hard. It was so much harder than going vegan was, which is so interesting because you would think if you had asked Brittany 5 years ago, what's harder, yoga or vegan? I would have been like, oh my gosh, going vegan would be so hard. That challenge was a cakewalk in comparison to this one, which is why I think it was so important. I think it is so important to pick the right challenges to actually become a better person on the other side. Now, look, I'm going to continue this journey and I'm going to get to know my body better. But all I know is that I felt so weak trying to do three-legged dog and I couldn't even lift my leg up. But I will tell you, after 30 days, I can lift it up just a little higher. And that feels really, really good. And I think that's what a 30-day challenge is supposed to really give you, is an opportunity to see yourself on day 1, see yourself on day 30, and to remind yourself that with enough practice and enough commitment, you really do improve. If you're like me, you might be that ADHD meme where it's like, I'm not instantly good at this new hobby, I don't want to do it. My brain sometimes does that, where I will start a new practice or a new hobby, and if I'm not instantly good at it, I feel like, well, this isn't my natural talent, obviously. But the truth is like, it's not about natural talent. It's about commitment. I remember I would hear artists talk about this, like, oh, you're so talented. I wish I could draw like you. You can. It just takes time and discipline and commitment. I look at these girls on Instagram doing amazing flow, having an amazing aesthetic, looking so good. I look at my yoga instructor for the Discord and I think, oh my gosh, like she's so beautiful. Like she's so, her three-legged dog is beautiful. She has a beautiful three-legged dog. And when I look at her do it, and I think to myself, oh my gosh, when am I going to look like that? And then I have to remember she is certified, she's educated, she's dedicated. This is her life. Like this is something she's put so much of her life into, right? That I'm just beginning. And even though I'm just beginning, after 30 days, I do see an improvement. I can't wait to see what it will be like in a year. I can't wait to see what it might look like in 5. But it really is just about starting and keeping it going. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself to do like an hour of yoga a day. I'm going to try to fit that 10 minutes in every day, but a slow, intentional 10 minutes, or at least if not every day, because that might be too much, every other day. The idea is not to feel like a failure for a made up construct you put on yourself, but to create a construct around helping you, fix a failure or get ahead or actually accomplish something. I make up the rules. And I don't want to make up rules that don't coincide with my joy, that don't actually work for my life. And I think that's, somewhat of the pressure of these 30-day challenges. Sometimes people can feel like, oh my gosh, like you didn't do it perfectly. It wasn't exactly right. It wasn't exactly, nothing in life is exactly. And you can still improve all the same. So as long as I keep it up to some extent, I think I'll feel pretty happy with myself. I think I learned a lot and I'm excited to go on to my next 30-day challenge. Bringing this challenge into the future with me. So now I'm experiencing plant-based living, which is just insane. I never thought that would be me, but I've been doing it and I feel really happy about it. And if I change, I change. But for now, present Brittany is doing that. Present Brittany is feeling so confident in her flexibility and the continued practice of being present in my body. And, who knows what the challenge is next time, but whatever it is, as long as it gets me closer to my goals and in a better relationship with myself, I think that's kind of the point. All right, guys, please let me know if you guys are doing yoga. Do you do any daily practices? Have you noticed any difficulty in having a calming moment throughout the day? How often do you meditate? I will say that I find myself always shocked at how something so simple can be so difficult and yet so rewarding. But I find every day that the simplest action really gives us the best reward. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you for the next one. Bye.